And we're on. Hello and welcome to podcast episode 113 of Rope-a-Dope Boxing. With the two Daves are back once again midweek to bring you a bit of a preview show. If you're new to the show, usual T's and C's, guys, are like, share and subscribe. That's like, share and subscribe whether you're listening or watching us on YouTube. If your audio platforms are Apple, Spotify or Amazon, especially if it's Apple, give us a 5-star review as well as nothing else will do. It's a preview show today. But firstly, I just want to jump into something that me and Dave missed on Monday's episode. We were doing a review of the weekend, and we didn't talk about Luis Alberto Lopez, mate. We did say, didn't we, the previous week that he was back out after that bleed on the brain. His career, his life was in danger. That dirty knockout from Angelo Leo took the title away from him. But he stepped back in the ring just only after 7 months. That's crazy. 7 months, he's back in the ring, and he stopped his opponent in 1 round. Couple of knockdowns, he's back to business, mate. Thoughts?
Yeah, and it's a shame we missed that. I worry, it's amazing to think that he's come back from that. I don't know how it works. I know the British Board of Control, I think if you have a bleed on the brain, I don't think you can fight again. So I don't know. I thought his career was over with, but it's good to see him back. Good to see him healthy. It was a severe knockout from Angelo Leo. So yeah, I'm happy to see him back. And yes, he's back with a bang, literally. So yeah, nice to see he's healthy more than anything, mate. Like I say, usually when there's any sort of brain injury, it's over. But again, I don't know the rules elsewhere. But yeah, no, good to see him back, man. Good to see him back. And you know, we always spoke about his style and things like that. He had a strange style, but he can whack all right. And yeah, he showed that in his 1 round demolition, mate. Yeah, he's back. See where he goes next.
Definitely. It's interesting, for what it lasted, or how long it lasted, just the round over in his home country of Mexico against. On paper, the guy looked tough. The guy looked like he could punch. Obviously, he probably shouldn't even been in the ring with an ex-world champion, but it didn't look like the knockout had affected him. It didn't look like for the couple of minutes it lasted that there was no confidence there. He just went in, does what he normally does, had a look through the funny angles, couple of body shots, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So yeah, it's really good to see that Luis Alberto Lopez is back in business, and it'd be nice to see him back in the title contentions very, very soon. So yeah, we'll crack on with our usual on our preview shows, and our usual starts with David McDonald and his dongs. What you got for us, brother?
I haven't got a lot, mate. So it's David McDonald and the dongs. So I've got to do the yeah, I've got to do the intro, mate. I'm afraid, so it's got to be done properly. But no. I've been digging this week, and it's a slow news week. So I've managed to pull out a couple of bits. So I've got 4 bits to go on. So the first one is announced. And we did say this is the sort of route he needs to take. So here we go. Announced. Deontay Wilder will return to face Tyrell Herndon in a heavyweight clash on June 27th in Kansas. Now, we did say the rebuild needs to start with, going back to, fighting, getting his confidence back, going in with some guys that you don't really know about. I doubt there'd be too much jeopardy there, depending on what he's got left. But and then sort of rebuilding that way. We said that he's not planting his feet. He can't get his feet into position to throw that serious right hand that he knocked 99% of people out with. He needs to find that again. Whether it's still there or not, we'll find out. But he's back out in June, mate, against a guy called Tyrell Herndon. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. There's nothing wrong with that level of opponent at all. It is literally a confidence builder. Pre-Parker and pre-Zhang, the favourite would have always been Deontay Wilder, as in the sense of knocking dudes out. Would we expect Parker and Zhang to outbox him? 100%. But we'd expect Deontay Wilder to get knocked out and beat. Not really. It was only Fury that really kind of halted him, if you like. Yeah. So, and watching his last couple of fights, Dave, that ain't the Deontay Wilder of old. We all know that. Let's be totally honest about it. None of us have had any kind of positive things to say about Wilder, which is a shame in sense of his boxing skills, because he's not great in the eye. And this is an Olympic bronze medalist, by the way. Yeah. So there is something there. He obviously hasn't taken his amateur form into the pros. He just kind of not even reverted to type. He's gone, right, I don't need to, be defensively very good. I don't need to, set traps, if you like, and point score and all this kind of other jazz that comes along with the amateur game. He's just gone in there. Right, what I'm going to do is look for a moment, look for a gap and detonate. And that's been so successful for him. And the last couple of fights, as you said, mate, that's not the Deontay Wilder of old. Yes, he's 39, 40. Time catches up with you. but his power doesn't disappear overnight, and he can't set his feet, and he's got dartitis in the right hand, and he needs a fight to kind of say, right, have I got it or haven't I got it? Yes, Parker and Zhang are top 5 guys, but if I can't kind of detonate and get rid of this level of opponent, a C-level, club-level fighter, then possibly I'm done. Yeah. So yeah, I've got no problem with this, and I've said in this podcast before, mate. I kind of do miss. I'm a lover of the sweet science like yourself, but I kind of miss those one-hitter quitters and that windmilling from Deontay Wilder. Irrelevant if if you think it's good boxing or bad boxing, it's fucking exciting, man.
It was.
So yeah,
it was a pure excitement because, like I say, he'd be getting out boxed for 9-10 rounds, losing every round on the scorecards and wallop, like we did to Luis Ortiz, getting out boxed and then just.
He was 7-0 down. He was 7-0 down there.
Yeah,
on every card.
He was like that in most of his fights.
Yeah,
but it's good to see. But like I say, if it might just be a confidence thing. It might just be a confidence thing. So if he gains it against a couple of like bin men or whatever you want to call them, get that confidence back, bang, take someone out, and you never know. But yeah, listen, he was a good addition to the heavyweight division. And in that era when they didn't all fight each other, he had 3 fights with Fury. That was a brilliant trilogy. So yeah,
one of the best. One of the best.
Never take that away from him. And like I say, he was exciting. He was in an era where the heavyweights. We always go back to the 80s and 90s, and so we had a dull sort of era when the Klitschko's. He was part of an era that sort of rejuvenated heavyweight boxing. So
let's be honest, Dave. Let's be honest. Obviously, you are right, and obviously we had the era before Turkey that Fury, not so much Fury because Fury fought him 3 times, but the Joshua Adrian, that kind of triangle didn't materialize. But let's be honest, as boxing fans are, like football fans and many other sports fans around the world, we're very, very fickle. Deontay Wilder goes in there and detonates on this guy. Apparently he's back. Oh, he's back. Yeah. He's back. Put him in with AJ. He smashes AJ. He's going to be world champion again. Let's just calm down. Let's just see what version we get of Deontay Wilder first before we start getting excited, because that's what it will be. It is. Yeah,
of course it will. Of course it will. This one we spoke about Tszyu Carrington on Monday, but here we go. The WBC could order Ray Vargas versus Bruce Tszyu Carrington for the WBC featherweight world title if Stephen Fulton moves up to challenge O'Shaquie Foster for the WBC super featherweight title. That's not the two good fights there. So I don't know that Stephen Fulton moving up again, because obviously we talk about carrying pop. Yes, skills not an issue. You could sort of put him in, I would say, any weight, but I don't. We always talk about him not having enough pop to keep people off. Does he have to carry the pop to go up another weight? Because we even question in the weight that he's in whether he's got the pop. So yeah, that seems to be the rumor mill, mate. That it could be Carrington versus Ray Vargas for the WBC title. So yeah, a couple of good matchups there, mate.
Definitely. We said last week, didn't we, that he's ranked number 1 with the WBC anyway. So if they're going to do it by the book or do it properly, then he should be the number 1 contender. He should be next. If Fulton moves up, O'Shaquie Foster versus Fulton, that's a great fight. I think O'Shaquie Foster might be a little bit too big for him. But we'll talk about that if it does happen. But going back to the Ray Vargas thing, mate, I suppose a negative, if you like, or not so much a negative, maybe a question mark. Surely, I think when you're in recess, you only get 80 to 100 days. Now, when he kind of went into recess after that Nick Ball win, I'm sure that's over 100 days, Dave. He's still in recess?
Yeah, it's got to be. Well, it's only 3 months, isn't it? That's definitely fucking hell.
Yeah. I shouldn't be too surprised, but there again, it's a decent fight, and obviously Vargas, it's been inactive. Tszyu's been very active, and we saw what he done last week. Yes, to an opponent that actually has never been stopped or put down in his career before. So we didn't actually mention that last week, but yeah, I agree, mate. Really, really good fights. I think the Fulton versus O'Shaquie Foster is a really good fight, technically as well. But O'Shaquie Foster is kind of a bigger guy and does punch hard when he wants to. But yeah, I'm down with all those fights, mate. See, it's the poo and PBC get and Top Rank, well, more PBC. They've got decent stable, and when a couple of their fighters are against each other, there is some good fight, because that's PBC versus Top Rank. That little no, it's not even a triangle, is it? We spoke last week. Maybe it is in your news. Top Rank and PBC working together.
No, you can actually talk about that, because I haven't got that in there. But you can mention that while we're talking about it now.
Well, basically, wasn't it? We said on Monday's show that Bob Arum came out for a statement for how true it is. I don't know whether it's just sound bites that going forward, it sounded like that they were going to work against Turkey and Dana White and do their own thing, keep everything in house. But I believe Bob in a sense of going forward, but whether Al Heyman will take him up on that offer, I do not know. You know, the proof's in the pudding, but the kind of matchmaking we've done there, Dave, and on Monday's show, there's a lot of good fights in the, you know, in the lower weight classes for Top Rank and PBC, especially for us boxing fans to get excited about. Just said it there. Shaki Foster versus Stephen Fulton. That's a fantastic fight stylistically. Yeah. Really, really good fight. So yeah. If that's what they want to do, I'm not bothered. I'm like you, mate, and a lot of the boxing fans, not the casuals, the hardcore. I just want to see the best versus the best. And if that means PBC and Top Rank ganging up on Uncle Turkey, couldn't care less. If that gives me the best versus the best in weight divisions, you know. So
I think it's the right. I think it's the right thing to do because Turkey is taking over, and you know any type of resistance, they're going to need to work together.
Yeah.
So if they can work together with the fighters they've got on their rosters. There's no, you know, they can put on good fights that can, you know, sort of, you know, compete with them type of shows that Turkey's putting on. So, again, the winners out of all this is the fans, and that's what we want. So, yeah, hopefully it happens.
Hopefully,
yeah. This is a little bit of news here that's sort of come out of left field. So, Caleb Plant and Jamal Charlo will fight on the same card on May 31st in Vegas ahead of a planned showdown later this year. Plant will face Armando Resendiz, and Charlo will face Thomas Lamana. Both must win to meet in the fall, which is the autumn for us, but the fall, which is American.
Yeah.
So yeah, Plant's being linked with Berlanga. Berlanga's making a lot of noise at the minute, but yeah, Charlo. You just don't know with these Charlos that. What the crack is with them, they're they're all over the place. But there's two names at the very least, you know what I mean? And Caleb Plant is exciting, and so yeah, it's one of them.
Yeah. Talking of champion and recesses, for the fucking Charlos.
Oh well, yeah.
Ray Vargas is well in his rights to challenge for that belt again. If them two have been in recess for years, I mean, again, two PBC fighters. Now you put that out on social media, people are moan and whinge and complain about the Charlos, like we all do. You know, whether because they keep their belts and they shouldn't, they're inactive, and there's things going outside the ring rather than inside the ring. You know, they bring a lot of controversy along with them. But once they're fit, once they're ready to go, and once they're active. Again, that's a great fight. Charlo versus Plant is a good fight. And those two fights you've mentioned there, Dave, their opponents, let's be totally honest, all boxing fans are going to have to box wreck their opponents unless you're like a Liam Tully or a Guru, you know exactly who they are. They're kind of warm-up fights going into that match, aren't they? That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, they are. It's a builder. It's a builder.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's just, you know, just planting a little seed in the public's mind, getting everyone's sort of appetite for the fight. And just to build it for something in the summer, late autumn. So,
listen, and them two got history as well. Sorry, mate. Them two got history as well. They both slapped each other at an event. Caleb Plant winds everybody up. I think he's great at selling fights. He really is. He literally doesn't have to do anything. People kind of start on him. He doesn't back down, and he kind of comes worse off, or he goes viral. I love him. I love Caleb Plant, and both Charlos don't take a step back either, do they? They're mouthy as fuck. So. Yeah, you've got a good narrative and a decent fight if both are fit and ready to go, you know, like it.
The build-up would be fantastic. The build-up would be absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, looking forward to it if it does get made. And the last piece of news for today, because like I say, it's a slow news week, really. Announced, Alicia Bungana would defend an undisputed ring, WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, super featherweight world titles against Jennifer Miranda on the Katie Taylor, Mana Serrano 3 undercard. On July 11th in MSG, New York. So obviously we know that Bungana has signed with MVP Promotions with Jake Paul. That's where the money is, especially for the women. And she's having a piece of that pie and defending her titles. So she's out on the undercard of a good bill.
So a couple of thoughts here, mate. We have mentioned it before. We've had no clarity. Not just here on this podcast, other podcasts, social media outlets. It looks like she's licensed to fight. She's accepted the fight. No, it was a bit of a Conor Ben situation with Bumgardner. Failed a test or two tests, allegedly. Couldn't fight, wouldn't fight. Now she's back fighting. Nobody knows whether she's passed or she's exempt or whatever. She looks like she's going back in there. On a positive, she's a name, and another positive, she's one of the fighters in the female game that can bang. So when you do preview and review her fights, it's highly likely that there's going to be a moment when she does buzz or stop somebody, which is good in women's boxings for 20 minutes, for how long it lasts. And another positive, I suppose. Yeah, it can be a positive, because we do wax lyrical about Jake Paul and his, as a promoter, looks like he's kind of going down the Uncle Turkey route in doing a kind of, I wouldn't say a league, but maybe trying to take over the women's division by signing up all these elite women fighters, putting them on to fight and paying them well. How do you see it, mate? He seems to be targeting the female game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, he always talked about UFC and how much they're being paid, aren't they? And he's always sort of exposed that, saying they're not paid for what they deserve to get and things like that. So maybe he sees the women as the same sort of scenario where he thinks that they should be paid more, and I think they should. I don't think they get paid enough. The elite women like your Katie Taylor-Sara's, they're getting millions, and that's fair enough. But the girls that we talk to on our show here, they're struggling to even pay their medical bills and that. So I think it's great for the women that he's doing that. Say what you want about his own career and who he fights and whatnot. I'm really behind what he's doing there. He's taking a shine to the women. He's pushing that, and it's only good for them. And he is. You're right in what you're saying there. He is the Uncle Turkey of the women's boxing. Yeah, and listen, I can get behind that. I think it's great, and at least he's getting them paid. He's putting them on. They're a massive platform. I mean, these YouTubers and that, fucking hell.
Well, it's on Netflix, Dave.
Yeah,
he's doing his shows on Netflix. I mean, you can't think of a bigger streaming service in the world than Netflix. So, and to be honest, mate, if Ben Shalom, obviously the UK promoter, has got a lot of the UK and the UK British female talent, if Jake Paul could work alongside Ben Shalom going forward, putting his fighters against Ben's fighters, I mean, it could be a match made in heaven. Do you know what I mean? And I know people poo-poo women's boxing and they don't like it and they're kind of negative about it, but you put on some of Ben's fighters against some of Jake's fighters going forward, you're fucking tuning in, whether you like it or not. You're tuning in. So there's some great fights to be made out there. Let's be honest. Let's not hide behind a screen, behind a mask and start trolling. There's some fucking good fights. Me and Dave spoke about it last week. Michaela Meyer versus Sandy Ryan. Now, Jake Paul or Ben Shalom weren't even involved. And it was a fucking firecracker. Really, really good fight. We said Michaela Meyer was the worthy winner. Did it better this time. But we were up to it for seeing it again because it was such a great fight. So I'm all in, mate. I'm all in. And obviously, Baumgardner, when she fights, will be previewing and reviewing it. And for what it's worth, whatever people think about her, she does bring excitement to the female game because she's one of these fighters that can bang. So, and that's what a lot of us come and watch, isn't it? We like to see a bit of skill set. We like to see the sweet sides, but you also love to see, viral moments in knockouts. And Baumgardner's one of those girls that brings it. I should say.
Absolutely. Yeah, she is. She's the Deontay Wilder of the women's. That's what she is.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
She's a better boxer. Don't get me wrong. But when she detonates, you get sparks. You get sparks. Yeah,
definitely.
So that is it for tonight with David McDonald and the Dongs.
Cool. That's nothing, is it? That's very, very quiet week.
Honestly, mate. I went through it all today. Nothing.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I suppose we do need a break every now and again, don't we?
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of clickbait. There's a lot of fake news, if you like. There's a lot of rumors, Chinese whispers. But I think that's probably all we need, to be fair, for today. Let's go into the prediction league, ladies and gentlemen, from last week. The scores going into last weekend was David Holland 4, David Graham 6. It's unusual for me to be in the lead. Dave pulled it back last week, but let's see how we got on in the Mayer Ryan weekend of boxing. So we both went for Michaela Meyer at the weekend against Sandy Ryan. We both went for Meyer by points, so that was 3 points apiece there. She got the job done on points. Brian Norman Jr. against Cuevas. We both went for Brian Norman Jr. by knockout. I said 7. Dave said 5. Brian Norman did it in 3. So that's 3 points apiece there. Vargas against Gonzalez. We both went for Emilio by knockout. I said round 4. Dave said round 3. Emilio did it in round 2. So another 3 points there. William Cepeda versus Tevin Farmer. Obviously, we both went for William Cepeda. I went for a 10th round stoppage. Dave went for points. So just a 1 point for me and 3 points for Dave. And Oscar Collazo versus Hernandez. Both went for Collazo by KO. I said round 8. Dave said round 4. Oscar did it in 5. So there's 3 points apiece, yet again, for me and Dave there. And 1 point apiece for myself and Dave, as we both went for Cameron Vong to beat Jordan Flynn on points. But he got the stoppage in the end, which makes the scores on the doors from last week's show, guys. Myself 14, David Holland 16. Going into this weekend, the scores on the doors are myself 6, Dave 5. He's pulled yet another one back, and it's game on, guys. It's game on. It's getting close, isn't it? It's close now.
Well, you was getting a bit. Yeah, you was getting a bit fucking mouthy, weren't you, 2 weeks ago? And I did say, listen, I'm going to fucking have to show you who's the daddy here. Yeah. And so yeah, sorry, mate.
Well, I'm not mouthy very often, so when I do get the chance, I kind of try and make the most of it. But yeah, I did give you the one. What was the one I said I gave you the week before? I went for a knockout, didn't I? It doesn't matter now, but it's 6-5. Yeah, I can't remember which fight it was. It's 6-5. Dave's pulled another one back, so it's very, very close going into this weekend's action. And there's quite a bit to talk about this weekend as well, guys. We'll start over in Manchester at the Co-op Live Arena. I think it's going to be a very popular event, a popular venue, Dave, I think, going forward. It looks like it's holding all sorts of events there, music, boxing, other kind of sports, concerts, etc. So it looks good inside. But we're talking Joe Joyce versus Filip Hrgovic as the main event. This is Uncle Frank's first show on DAZN, by the way, since leaving Greensbury. So this was supposed to be Joe Joyce versus Dillian Whyte. I don't think anybody was excited about that. I'm kind of glad Dillian Whyte has pulled out for whatever reason and Filip Hrgovic has replaced him. Yeah. Now, I've been watching a few things over the week, mate. News outlets, other podcasts, social media posts. And I said there earlier about us boxing fans being fickle. And I've got to admit, we are very, very, very fickle. So what I meant by that, guys, is when Joe Joyce lost to Zhilei Zhang the second time, we all said, right, that's it now. He's done. He should be nowhere near the top 15. He's not getting another world title shot. He's finished. The punch resistance gone. That's it. He's finished now. He's fucked up. He had his chance. We all said that. Well, I don't say all, but you get my drift. 99.9%. Yeah. It kind of went down that road. What anyway with Derek Chisora? Oh, it's just a crossroads fight. Absolute crossroads fight. Lose this, he's done. He's done. If you can't beat Del Boy, he's done. Gets beat by Del Boy, gets dropped by Del Boy. That's it, he's done. Don't want to see him again. You know, he can't speak properly. You know, he looks vacant half the time. Don't want to see Joe Joyce again. He's fighting again, but he's fighting a better level of opponent than Derek Chisora. He's going in against Filip Hrgovic, and it's another crossroads fight. So what I mean about being fickle, guys, if Joe Joyce loses this on Saturday night, we'll be singing exactly the same tune. We'll be saying he's done. We don't want to see him again. But because he won't retire, or hardly won't, if he doesn't retire, he'll be back out again and we'll be singing the same tune. So let's kind of slow down a little bit and let's see where we are with Joe Joyce. He's 39 years of age. He's lost 3 in his last 4. He was expected to beat Derek Chisora. He wasn't expected to be flattened by him. It doesn't look like he's going to give up anytime soon. He's kind of stated since Uncle Turkey's gone onto the scene, he kind of wants to work his way back into earning some money, whether that's going for a world title shot or just earning some crust. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon. He loses on Saturday. I don't think we see the end of Joe Joyce. With Filip Hrgovic, mate, we don't know what version we're getting. Now, I know you've never been sold. I was, and I've kind of changed my mind since the Zhilei Zhang fight, to be honest. I thought he lost that fight, got the decision. We forget Mark Demore and a couple of the others. They were cannon fodder for him. The Daniel Dubois fight, yes, it was stopped on cuts, but he couldn't blast him out, and he gassed like fuck, and he was hurt, and he looked like he didn't want to be there. I know what I'm getting from Joe Joyce on Saturday, mate. I think I know what I'm getting from Joe Joyce. He's too old now. He's too long in the tooth. He's teaching old dog new tricks. He's going to come forward, use his head as a battering ram, but he doesn't gas, and he's going to kind of hope for the best depending on his opponent. I don't know what state of mind Filip Hrgovic is in. I don't know if that Daniel Dubois defeat has taken something out of him. I don't know if he's lacking in confidence. I don't know if he's going to let his hands go. If he loses to Joe Joyce, a Joe Joyce is not supposed to be anywhere near going back up the rankings. You know, he's not in the top 15 at the moment, Joe Joyce. So if he loses to Joe Joyce, can kind of Filip Hrgovic think, well, I can't even beat a guy that's not even ranked anymore, a guy that's shot, the guy that can't punch anymore, the guy that's got no resistance. What am I doing? My head's going round and round and round thinking, what version am I getting of Filip Hrgovic? So going into predictions, mate, I still haven't made my mind up. But yeah, I've waffled on a little bit about both fighters there. So what are you thinking about this fight? I do, as a caveat on top though, Dave, I do think this is a much better fight than the Joe Joyce versus Dillian White.
I think it is. I think the Joe Joyce versus Dillian White could have ended up being a stinker, a real stinker. But I'm with you. I've seen a lot on Joe Joyce this week. I see an interview with him and it fucking worries me. I've said this many a time before. He can't speak. Now, I know he wasn't a great speaker before, but it's not even as if he struggles with words and whatnot. And he hasn't got a lot of confidence in front of the mic.
The thing is, mate, it's not funny anymore, is it? It's not funny anymore. It's worrying.
It's worrying. He can't get his words out, and he's sitting there with someone he's having an interview with, and he's just looking at them, and he's coming up. Honestly, it doesn't sit right with me. It really, really doesn't. And then I see clips of the Joe Joyce that beat Daniel Dubois, and to me, honestly, it looks like a completely different fucking fight, and it is.
Best performance.
It's a completely different fighter. This man's up on his toes, and he's doing. He was never quick. But he looked like a real polished boxer. You can see the amateur pedigree to the fighter that's flat-footed, and he's got no type of defense and any sort of like lateral movement. Not that he did anyway, but
it's worse now.
He didn't do anything. He honestly looks like a completely different fighter. Now we spoke about his peak, and he had like a year and a half peak, and we spoke about him starting late and whatnot. But for me, He's a completely different fighter, and he takes too much punishment. You said there he's got bone density of a fucking dinosaur, and he sort of got away with it for a little while with that. But even then, he had IQ. He could work his way around the ring. He threw a good shot. Now he plods forward, and it's just clubbing, boom.
Yeah, hopes for the best kind of thing. Yeah.
Boom. So and then Filip Hrgovic, I wasn't. I'm not sold on Filip Hrgovic. I think he was hype. Can he go away and work on things, and come back? For me, the fresher out of the two is Filip Hrgovic. The person that should win this fight, in their trajectory of their careers at this stage, should be Hrgovic. Yes, he come off one loss to Daniel Dubois. Don't we talk about losses? It shouldn't define them. There is time for him to rebuild, work on things, and come back a better fighter. Will we ever get to the heights that people were hyping up to? I'm not sure, but for me, there's still something there with Filip Hrgovic you could probably work on.
I meant in his mental capacity. It's mentally. I meant with the defeat of Daniel Dubois. I meant where's his head at?
You don't know. It could go one of either way. It's fight or flight, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's fight or flight time for him. But like his stage of his career, a different team, a different setting, a different sort of thing can maybe rejuvenate him, and he can, and then the things that people were talking about, because people were talking about it, that he's the second coming of a great heavyweight. We've yet to see. This could come, slight tweaks. So I'm leaning towards Filip Hrgovic in this fight, because I think Joe Joyce, and we don't talk for retirement here, but I worry for Joe Joyce. I really, really do. He's a tough man, probably too tough for his own good.
Too tough,
But I'm leaning towards Filip Hrgovic. So I'm going to go in. I think Filip Hrgovic is going to win, and I think Filip Hrgovic wins on points. I don't know that he carries the absolute power like big bang power. I'm going to go for Filip Hrgovic on points.
That's what I was thinking, mate. The power of Hrgovic. You look how many times he landed on Daniel Dubois early part of the fight. Daniel Dubois was taking some big shots of Hrgovic, and he couldn't kind of get him out of there. And obviously, don't get me wrong, Hrgovic now has been, Joe Joyce now has been put down several times by Chisora and by Zhilei Zhang, but they're two big punchers. Zhilei Zhang's probably the biggest puncher in the division, not the best fighter, the biggest puncher. Now Wilder's kind of got arthritis in his right hand, and Alexander Usyk has come out and said, who's the toughest fight you fought? And he's given his reasons. He said the hardest puncher was Derek Chisora. So there could be something in that. If that punch resistance hasn't completely gone, he could just walk forward and take Filip Hrgovic's best punches and keep walking forward and tire Hrgovic out like he was knackered you know, in the fight against Daniel Dubois. So the gas tank for me is got to be questioned, and the heart and the desire has got to be questioned with Filip Hrgovic. And what was was it Dempsey McKinney fault?
Yeah.
When he got him out of there in the last round, but he was absolutely shagged then. And what I will say about Joe Joyce, whether he's, you know, 20 stone, 15 stone, whatever, he just keeps plodding forward. So I'm stuck on this one, Dave. I'm not as sold anymore on Filip Hrgovic as I used to be for the reasons I've just given. I think there is something there with him. I mean, people talk about him in Sparrow being this monster, but when he's kind of stepped up to a level now, you're seeing cracks in the armory, if you like. But I'm going to shock a few people here, you know. I think Joe Joyce is going to wear him down. I don't know if he's got the power to hurt him or stop him. I'm going to give credit where credit's due in terms of Zhang's power and Chizora's power. Maybe they just carry that dynamite that was too much for that bone structure of Joe Joyce. So I'm going to shock a few people here. I'm going to go Joe Joyce to stop Hrgovic late. I think he's going to stop him late. I can't see the gas tank. I can see it running out, and there's nothing left. And Joe Joyce will stop Hrgovic late, like he stopped Parker late as well. Because if you go back to that Joseph Parker fight, mate, now people are coming out and say, well, he wasn't well that night, Joe Parker. That's the reason why. Hang on a minute. If he wasn't well, who was the guy that was fucking throwing howitzers at Joe Joyce's head, bouncing off his head, throwing the kitchen sink at him, just couldn't get rid of him? That doesn't look like an unwell man to me. So come on. Let's you know, even though we've all on the Joe Parker train since the rebuild of Andy Lee, let's be totally honest. If he was ill, he's chose health over wealth. But Joe Joyce beat him up. They stopped him. That's what happened in the fight. And obviously they've gone in separate ways. But I don't want to go down that road. But I'm going to go for a late stoppage, mate. I'm going to go for round 9. It's over 10 rounds, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to go for round 9. Joe Joyce to stop him.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, I think he will. Again, as I said in my opening gambit, mate, whether he wins, loses, or draws, I don't think this will be the end of Joe Joyce. I think we'll see him again and again and again until maybe he's not being issued a license. You know, because I'm in the same camp as you, mate. I probably think he shouldn't be fighting because that speech he's got now, the questions he's being asked, the pausing, the vacantness, it doesn't look healthy, does it? I've got to agree, mate. So. Yeah, good luck to both guys. Right, on this card, I think it's the co-main. David Adeleye versus Jeamie TKV. David Adeleye on a bit of a rebuild, if you like, since the Fabio Wardley stoppage. He went in with Sol Dakers, dealt with him in a round. He's 13 wins, 12 knockouts, David Adeleye. Big, strong, powerful brute of a guy. I kind of like him. I think he's from the same ends me and you are from, mate. I think he's from Hammersmith or Ladbroke Grove. That doesn't really mean anything, but I just thought I'd add that in on top. Saw the presser today. I've got nothing against Jeamie TKV, Dave. I've got nothing against him at all. I wish him all the best of luck in the world. But this is a step to the side or a step back for Adeleye. This is a step up for TKV. Now, I saw the press conference. They obviously don't like each other. There's something there. But TKV flipped the table. Come on, grow up, man. Grow up. People have done that. Chizora's done that. Been there, done that. Won a t-shirt. You're not the guy to kind of impress people. He's quite boring. I've got to be totally honest. He's a boring fighter. He punches in the clinch. He makes a glass eye fall to sleep. He's been stopped in the past. I don't enjoy watching him, but I do. That's just his style. That's how he gets through his fights. He's got this opportunity to win a British world title. But I think this is one step too far. Even though I don't even think David Adeleye is world level. I think he's a European level at most at the moment. But I think this is a step too far. I can't get into his fights, and I'm going to be cheering for David Adeleye. And I think David Adeleye needs to get rid of him quick, because if he does go the distance, TKV will hold him all night long. And possibly a guy just as big as David Adeleye, mate, he might, that pressure on top of his chest in the clinch, going to the body, might wear Adeleye down in a later round. So I think Adeleye needs to get it done kind of between rounds 1 and 5, and I think he will. So before you jump in, mate, I'm going in for my prediction straight away. I think Adeleye will knock out Jeamie TKV and fight in round 5.
Yeah, listen, that flipping of the table, I saw the same thing. You messaged me on it, but I'd seen it anyway. That's probably going to be the most exciting thing that Jeamie TKV does in this fight. That's what he'll be known for. I've seen him live, so I can see that he stinks the place out. Again, I've got nothing against him, but he's not an exciting heavyweight. He's not one of these one we're talking about Wilder, where you can lose rounds and bang people out. He's not that guy. He will hold. He's, for me, and as well, he's not in great shape. He's a heavyweight.
Flabby, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fat. listen, without being disrespectful, he's fat. So he's not a specimen. But yeah, and David Adeleye, I'm with you. I'm not even sure he's European level as of yet. British level, possibly. But he likes to talk, and he's got a lot of aggression about him, and he sells a fight very well. I'll give him that, David Adeleye. He's quite happy to have beef.
He's a powerful man, so isn't he? He's a very powerful man.
And I say, and we were talking of physique, so he's a big lad. You know what I mean? He looks the part. I'm with you. For me, it's a step down. Jeamie TKV for David Adeleye, and he should deal with him in good fashion. As I say, there's a bit of needle there to see if they fight on emotion. We should certainly see. So, I'm with you, mate. David Adeleye should win this fight, and for me, he should win it comfortably. I think there's levels between these two at this stage of their careers. And I'm with you. I'm going to go a little bit earlier than you. I think David Adeleye is going to stop Jeamie TKV in round 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think you're right there, mate. I've got no. It sounds disrespectful, but I just don't like that style of fighting, especially as a heavyweight as well. It's reaching for your phone moment, but I don't think David Adeleye is going to allow it to be like that.
The way he fights is what used to get labelled at heavyweights years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all cumbersome and this, and that's what sort of turned people off of the heavyweight division. It's just, two big lumps, fat lumps, and hugging. It was always hugging, and he gets involved in that sort of type of caper. So I've not seen anything from me that's been exciting from him so far in his career. And again, I've seen him live when I went to see Buatsi versus Aziz. So
so you've had first-hand experience, mate. So your opinion's worth more than most. But yeah, I totally agree, mate. Just quickly before we move over to Kazakhstan, Mark Chamberlain's back out, mate. We did ask where the fuck he disappeared to after that Josh Padley lost. He's fighting some Argentinian guy, 8-4. This has been this is a cherry pick, bit like Deontay Wilder news you mentioned earlier, mate. This is a cherry pick for Mark. He's only 26. He's got a long career still in front of him, a good 10 years left, really. This is a confidence builder. This is Mark Chamberlain getting back in there, getting some ring rust off, getting a bit of confidence and getting a knockout, which I expect him to do. And Delicious Ore as well, an elite amateur, makes his professional debut for Uncle Frank at heavyweight as well. But yeah, before I move on, anything to say about Chamberlain, mate? Good to see him back, I think. I do like Mark Chamberlain.
I don't know why it's taken so long. Obviously, we're not in the nuts and bolts of his career, but I think he should have been out straight away. Josh Padley, and now Josh Padley's been signed, and obviously there's different promotional companies, but there's definitely a call for wanting to right the wrong there for him. So yeah, good to get him out, get a bit of ring rust off of him, and if I'm him, I'm shouting Josh Padley's name though.
I want to see it again,
and I want to see that. I think he needs to right that wrong. Again, we said it every time someone has a defeat. It doesn't define you. We were high on Mark Chamberlain. There's no reason to still not be.
Still am.
Exactly. He was Uncle Turkey's favourite fighter. And so there's hopefully, he comes out there, shakes off a bit of ring rust, and he can get back onto his career, really. Because we were high on him, and we think he can go places. So why not?
As I say, he's only 26. He's got a long journey in front of him. So good luck to Mark on the weekend. So let's jump over to Kazakhstan. That's all on DAZN, by the way. I did say it earlier, but that's Frank's debut on the DAZN app. Let's go to Kazakhstan. Our boy Janibek Alimkhanuly. I'm not going to pronounce his opponent. I said on Monday show I'm going to leave that to Dave. So who's Janibek fighting, brother?
Ngamissengue. That's got to be a silent N. That's got to be a silent N, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a French African, I think. But that's a better attempt than me. That's decent. That's decent, to be fair. It's because call him the French African kid. Anyway, IBF, WBO, 160 belts on the line. They are Janibek's. The homecoming Battle of the Brave, it's been dubbed as his card. I've been following him all week. A massive fan of Janibek. People coming out to see him doing his workouts, the pressers and things like that. We've gone over his career on this podcast numerous times about how Top Rank don't kind of promote him. They don't do anything with him. His social media, obviously, Janibek doesn't speak English. So the guy that's doing his social media is pushing pushing it to the limits, calling everyone out under the sun. I don't know what else he's supposed to do. Now, I have heard some negativity surrounding Janibek this week, and as a fan, I am going to kind of stick up for him. You go back and look at interviews or how it's interpreted. These Eastern European fighters, Dave, they're all about legacy. They're all about belts. They're all about gold. They're all about silverware. That's what he's chasing. That is why I've heard people say, well, he struggles to make 160 now. The best thing for him to do is jump up and, try and get the Canelo payday. Everyone will want a Canelo payday. They are amateurs going into pros and they are prize fighters looking for the biggest prize. But these Eastern European fighters are all about belts. He collapsed against Mikhailovic the first time because me and you both said, maybe it's time. He's kind of cheating himself if he thinks he can make 160 healthily. Made 160 the second time around, went over to Australia day before the fight and smashed to pieces his mandatory. The guy, Mikhailovic, shouldn't have been in the ring with him.
Yeah.
So, but he's all about the belts. And I don't know what more he can do to try and get the Adames fight or the Lara fight. And we go back to the Bob Arum and Mal Heyman thing. Maybe we can get it done that way. But we're going to this weekend's fight. It's called Battle of the Brave. And this French dude is going to have to be very brave because he's 14-0. Never heard of him. He's got 9 knockouts. Rarely fights out of France. He's ranked number 13 with the WBO. I don't know why we haven't got Janibek versus Denzel Bentley, who was number 1 with the WBO mandatory. I'd much prefer to see Denzel Bentley against Janibek a second time around. But this is a homecoming for Kazakhstan. This is the time, which is a shame as well, Dave, because this fight isn't available to us in the UK. It's a fire stick job. This is only available on ESPN America. So us Brits, us boxing hardcore that love watching Janibek, like ourselves, won't be able to watch him unless we've got a dodgy fire stick or something like that, which is fucking shit. However, this is chalk and cheese for me. I've gone and had a look at the French guy. Yes, he makes a few good shapes, nice silhouettes. He's unbeaten. He can throw a nice right hand, etc. But you're getting in with an elite, in my opinion, an elite level champion. Yes, the names aren't around in the 160 division so people can go, wait, well, he's beat so-and-so, he's beat so-and-so, he's beat so-and-so. The resume looks rubbish. But from the optic test, he doesn't make any mistakes. His feet are perfect. His range finding's perfect. His angles are perfect. Yeah. The trap setting's perfect. Yes, I'm a super fan, so I'm going to wax lyrical about him. But this guy, now at the age of 31, needs the other champions if he's going to stay at 160. He'll make a statement on Saturday night, and hopefully Top Rank and Bob will say, right, this is it now. We do need to push him, irrelevant if he's speaking English or not. We'll get him those world title fights. Otherwise, we may have to let him go. Whatever it is, Janibek on Saturday night, Dave, he will smash this guy to bits. He'll put on a show for the Kazakh faithful over in his home country, over in Astana. He'll dance around for a few times. He'll feel the African kid's power, and then he'll detonate when he wants to detonate. And again, I think Janibek will make a huge statement here. Cannon fodder, round 5 knockout, and we move on to the champions, mate. Your turn.
Yeah, I'm a little bit frustrated, mate, and it's not Janibek's fault. It really isn't. I think I was the one that mentioned about Top Rank not pushing him and not promoting him very well. And this is just another case of it, mate. Like he's having a homecoming against someone no one knows anything about. Against a fighter, let's get it right. 14, it's a prospect in any other world. We talk about Emilio Vargas on Monday. These are the sort of records that he's done. I'm not saying they're the same fighter, but, we've done this 20 to learn. So this opponent here should be nowhere near Janibek. Janibek should be fighting for undisputed. All that sort of thing. He should not be lowering himself to these type of opponents. And that's it. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's got one more fight like this or anything, and he has to move up. I'm sorry, he has to. Now, with the belts that he's got, he should be being a mandatory for. It would be Canelo. Canelo's got all 4 of them, but something has to happen. He can't just keep staying at 160 and having these type of fights, mate. I mean, his career is a short career anyway, in any type of sport, and he's then going to have to go. And and then
Dave, that's my point. Sorry, mate, to interrupt. But apart from the Canelo, which everybody wants a payday, he doesn't seem to be chasing names and paydays. He seems to be chasing belts. Yeah. And that's why he seems to be stopping at once. He wants all the belts. He wants all the belts. Say, I am the undisputed. I am the best. I will dominate this division. Then I'll move up for the next challenge. He doesn't seem interested in saying, right, I can't get these fights. So he doesn't seem interested in cash. That's what I'm trying to say, like the rest of them.
No, but that's what I'm saying is if he wants to have all the belts, The only way he's going to get it at this, if you're looking at his career as it is so far, is if he goes up and fights Canelo for all 4 of them, because he's not getting the champions in the division he's in.
Adames and Lara.
Yeah, he's just not getting them. They're just not coming, and it's these type of opponents that he's getting, and I'm high on him as well, and I like him really. And it is not his fault. You're right. You made a good point there. I don't know how many fights he's got on his contract, but does he have to break away from Top Rank to get a promotion? That will push him into these fights that he supposedly cannot get. Because I love him as a fighter, but I am
frustrated
with these type of opponents, mate. I really, really am. A guy at 14 fights should not be fighting Alan Halama. He should not be. And this is what I'm with you, mate. Fair play for Joe for his opponent Ngamissengue, to trying to get in with him.
You're saying it well, mate. Keep saying it.
But it's for me, it's going to be a demolition, and I'm going to go again. I'm going to go earlier than you, mate. He's homecoming. He's going to give him a couple of rounds, and he's going to knock him out in round 3.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then we'd be like, and then it's going to be a talk. Who do you want next? And he's going to go, I want the belts, and we're going to have all that for a little while until he gets an announcement for his next fight, and it'll be again someone we don't know. And it's frustrating, mate, because his career's like you say, 31, 35. That's it. I mean, how many more fights if he fights twice a year? If that,
he's only fight once a year.
By the time he gets to 35, is 8. The minimum he can have is 4 if he fights once a year. So his career is. I'm not saying it's over, but he's coming into the twilight years, and this is
been wasted, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Because I mean, you think we've been talking about him we've been doing this for 2 years now. We've been talking about him then. He would have been in his 28, 29 in the prime of his life. And that's when it's passing him by, and it's frustrating.
Just quickly, Otabek Kholmatov, remember him? Haven't seen him for over a year since he got beat by Ray Ford, knocked out in the last round when he was winning the fight.
Great fight.
He's back in action on this card. Callum Johnson was supposed to be in a fight against Gulamarian at cruiserweight. That looked a great fight for both guys coming off, defeats and working their way back into contention. That doesn't seem to be on the card for whatever reason, which is a shame. And Bakhodir Jalolov, he's back out in action. We don't know what's going on with this guy. I saw in the week that he's talking about going back into the Olympics in LA to become Olympic gold champion for the 3rd time. That's what I'm saying. These guys are all about fucking medals. He doesn't seem to be. Well, he doesn't do anything on social media anyway, Dave, does he? Jalolov. But for me, he's a nailed-on future world champion. But he's up against some Ukrainian guy, which we're not going to preview as in for doing our predictions and points. But this would be another guy. He gets in there with 1 or 2 rounds, Dave, and smash him to bits. And then we won't see him again for the rest of the year. So another guy that's really, really not being pushed by Top Rank. But yeah, you're going to see a highlight reel from Jalolov anyway. So that's over in Astana, not on UK TV, unfortunately, but we always find a way to watch Janibek and the boys. Staying with Top Rank, we'll jump over to Las Vegas. Richard Torrez Jr. is in action. Now, I like this fight. We've been speaking about Torrez Jr. for a long time now. 12-0, 11 KOs. There's not a lot of future heavyweights in America, which is rare. You've obviously got Wilder. Nobody knows what's happening with him. Michael Hunter, kind of the forgotten man. Jared Anderson's come off that batter into Bakhodir. We don't know where his headspace is at the moment, really. And Charles Martin, tongue-in-cheek, his name just gets mentioned. So Richard Torrez Jr., the Olympic silver medalist that was knocked out in the final against Jalolov a few years back, is the best bet going forward. Now he's got a test on his hands. It's a step up we've all been asking for. It's a good step up. It's a guy that's in the top 15. Guido Vianello, the Italian based in America, Dave. We've seen him a couple of times. We made a case that he could have beaten or should have beaten F.A. Ajagba. F.A. Ajagba obviously goes into that fight with Martin Bakhodir. And the blueprint was set by Ajit Kabayel against Makhmudov. And the gladiator, as he's called, Vianello, went in there and done exactly the same to Makhmudov. What Kabayel done, stopped him last time out. This is a tough fight for Richard Torrez Jr. It really is, but it's a great fight. Is proud the right word? No, not proud, but I'm glad Top Rank have said, right, here you go. Here's a test for you. Let's see how you come through, because this is a gamble. This is a gamble. That this is a tight fight. We're going to see how good Richard Torrez Jr. really is on Saturday night, mate.
This is the fight of the weekend, mate. I think this is definitely up there at least. And we've been calling for Richard Torrez is another one where you know, we were talking about his opponents and when's he going to get a step up, and this is it. This is it.
Yeah.
The Gladiator is a tough customer, especially for, you know, for a certain level of fighter who's on this way up. You know, he's I wouldn't say he's fringe world level, but he's up there. And I'm really excited about this fight. And I've questioned Richard Torrez Jr. before about his defense. I think he's very wide in the way he throws shots, and you know, I think he's susceptible down the middle. So for me, this is a massive step up for him at this stage compared to the people he's been fighting up to this point, because he has just been rolling them over, throwing wild hooks and stuff like that. I think he needs to box, get onto his boxing now. Yes, he can punch. We know that. He stops a lot of guys, but he will have to box here. Vianello, the Gladiator, he came with a game plan against Makhmudov, and he executed it. Showed some good boxing skills. Went to the body, and got a great win there. Again, we talk about hype. Makhmudov, he falls into that bracket when we're talking about Hrgovic. But this is a great, and then Richard Torrez Jr. can come through this fight, gets a stoppage and stuff. Then you know there's no turning back. Then that's it. This for me from this, then it starts to be names. I believe so. Yes, I believe this is the right time. I honestly believe this is the right time. Yes, it is a gamble, but it's a gamble that is needed. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm going to shock you, Dave. I'm going to shock you. Vianello's going to score. Is going to score an upset here. I think Richard Torrez Jr. can bang, but I see so many holes in his defence that I flagged.
You've always said that, yeah.
Way back when he was banging people out. Yes, he gets the highlight reel knockouts, but he throws shots too wide for me, and I think he's going to get caught with something on the way in. I think it'd be a learning curve for him. I don't want to say he's had it easy. I don't want to say he's had it easy, but he has had a lot of opponents where he's meant to just steamroll them, and he did.
He's done his apprenticeship, hasn't he? He's done his apprenticeship from amateur to pro.
Yeah.
Now he's going out on his own.
Yeah. But
he's on the tools on his own, mate.
Yeah, but I still don't think for me, he's never had any sort of jeopardy. I've never seen him. He's never been under fire. He's banged out, he's banged out everyone, hasn't he? Yeah. So when he comes under fire, and I think this is the guy that can do it. This guy is this is the guy that's going to give him rounds. This is the guy that's going to give him rounds, and this is where we're going to see what Richard Torrez Jr. is made of. And I think I'm not going to say it's a step too soon, because I want him to take this step.
Yeah,
but I think that the Gladiator is the problem for at this stage of.
Yeah, I can see it. I totally get where you're coming from, mate. You've always said about Richard Torrez Jr.'s defense. You've always said going forward, he's exciting. He's got fast hand. He's got fast feet. He's very small, and it's worked so far. But Vianello, the last two performances we've seen him with Ajagba and Makhmudov, two big guys. Yeah. He's going to have to punch down this time, but he does punch straight, if you like, and that wide open defense, as you say, mate, of Richard Torrez Jr. could be tailor-made for Vianello. Good gas tank, never gives up. It's a really good fight. It really is. I'm gonna. What round did you go for Vianello, mate?
I didn't pick one, mate, but I'm going to pick one now. I think Vianello's going to stop him in round 7.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to go Torrez Jr. on points. I don't think he's going to get rid of him. I think he might tire a bit, go in the end, punch himself out, but I think he might do enough in the early rounds to clock up a win. Intriguing fight, mate. I can definitely see him getting stopped as well, purely on that defense. But look, let's be honest, he's a silver medalist. He's got a good team behind him. They'll watch the VT. They'll go away, do some homework. They'll notice he's a huge step up from the cannon fodder he's been facing recently, and he's going to have to tighten up. If they don't, it's very unprofessional of them.
That's the thing, Dave. Like I say, he's an Olympian, yeah. So they obviously, yourself, they're taught the fundamentals from kids. So they're taught defense, they're taught that, and it's point scoring in the amateurs. So they can box.
He ain't got that. He ain't got that. He's gone out the window.
He's coming to the pro game and he's banging wild stuff. So if he has got that in his locker to tighten up and that, yes, he can do both, and that's great. But what we've seen so far in his pro career is not that. He's walking forward, he's throwing shots from wide angles, and he's banging people out. But he is now getting in with someone that can box, and has proved that. He's got some good wins, got better wins he's got better wins on his resume than Richard Torrez has.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah.
Can he now change up the game plan? But yes, he still throws shots like that, but he's a little bit wild for me, and that's why I think it might be his undoing. But listen, we never know, and this is why it makes this fight intriguing. And this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most this weekend. Is this one?
Yeah. I tend to agree, mate. Also on the cards, last week we were speaking about top ranks, exciting young prospects they've got in their ranks. Abdullah Masons is out yet again, 17-0, 15 KOs, another banger. He's only aged 20, second fight of 2025. We was going to review him. We will have a review of it next week, but it looks like it's another kind of keep busy, if you like, Dave. He's going in against Mexico's Carlos Ornelas. This guy went the distance with another top-ranked fighter in Rafael Espinosa. Looks like a bit of a barometer here. Can I get rid of Ornelas as quicker than Espinosa? And Espinosa didn't get rid of him. It was a unanimous decision. But this guy's been knocked out 3 times already. First time for 10 rounds for Abdullah Masons. So I don't think it's going to go 10. That's why I'm not going to kind of preview it. And just to end on the Vegas card, mate, Troy Williamson's on this one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I don't know where this has come from. I mean, Troy's lost 3 and 4 now, mate. He takes on Jai Tucker. I don't know anything about Jai Tucker, to be perfectly honest. Over 10 rounds, he's never been stopped. He's lost 3 fights, but is this a rebuild for Troy Williamson at this stage of his career? As I said, he's lost 3 in his last 4. He's gone over to the States. Fair play for him. As they say, gum shield will travel. And good luck to Troy, mate. But yeah, Troy Williamson and Abdullah Masons before we move over to the GBM card on Friday night, mate.
Yeah, well, we know Abdullah Masons is on the up. Again, this, like you said there, this is a slight step up. There's a barometer there, like you said. So we know for quality fighters that have been in with this guy. So building. We talk about being built in the correct way. Some fighters do, some fighters don't. With the way they're treating Janibek is fucking chalk and cheese to what's happening with Abdullah Masons. So it all just depends. But yeah, I expect another explosive performance from Abdullah Masons. We know what he's like. He's a slick black American, sits on his shots. He spiteful shots, picks his punches very well, and is exciting. So I'm expecting another demolition job from him. And we'll review that on Monday. And then Troy Williamson, listen, I like the fact that he's gone out there, he's traveling, and he's on a different platform, like a top rank. It's an amazing platform for him. And hopefully he can go out there and make a little bit of a name for himself. If he goes out there and does a real good job and then gets a highlight reel knockout and that, and gets an American backing, you just never know with him. So listen, fair play to him for taking the opportunity. I can't knock that at all. So I wish him the best of luck. I really do.
Yeah, best of luck to Troy and Abdullah Masons at the weekend. Before we go over to the GBM card on Friday at your call, I nearly forgot. Tszyu's out in action, mate. Back in Australia, Newcastle, Australia. Another rebuild, if you like. We used to see Tim out in America the last few, 3 or 4 fights. He was a split decision loss to Fundora. He's lost the last 2. That was Bloodgate. And obviously he was absolutely battered by Murtazaliev last time out. We saw him in California in 3 rounds. He's back over in Oz. He's still with PBC. He's going up against American Joey Spencer in the main event, over 10 rounds. We've spoke today about kind of warm-up fights, if you like, rebuild fights that are cannon fodder. Now, if Tszyu is going to become a world champion again, and he is the guy that we all believe he is, he should be making a statement here on Saturday night, Sunday morning for us here in the UK against the likes of Joey Spencer. And then the word on the street is obviously Keith Thurman is back, PBC again. We get Thurman versus Tszyu going forward to challenge for a title at 154. But before I jump the gun a little bit, Joey Spencer versus Tszyu in Australia, man. How do you see this one going?
I think it's we talk about defeats when we think is it warranted giving them. We call it giving them one, don't we? We've been saying letting them have one. This is what this is, isn't it? This is a rebuild fight. This is one to, again, we talk about ring rust. We gaining some confidence because his last defeat was a hefty defeat. Tszyu.
Oh, he got beat up. He got hurt badly. Hurt,
so I've got no issues with him going in with Joey Spencer as a comeback fight leading into something like Keith Thurman. Still, he's been inactive for years anyway. So we'll know if that does materialise. We'll discuss that nearer the time. Although he looked half decent in his last fight, but listen. For me, this is to try and gain a little bit of confidence because, like I say, it was a hefty defeat against Murtazaliev, and getting himself back out there. again, so I'm okay with him having one of these type of fights. I don't see there any jeopardy here. Tszyu against Fundora was unlucky. I thought the cut was a major issue. It was early in the fight. We
split
discussed
decision,
that.
wasn't it? Lost by split decision.
We discussed that. But he done well to go the distance with a cut like that.
Yeah.
So he was unlucky there. But Murtazaliev, it was a demolition. So he needs this. He needs this fight to try and gain some confidence, gain a rebuild. And I think he goes through Joey Spencer. I think he goes through him in 3 rounds. Round 3.
Yeah. I agree, mate. The only thing I worry about Tszyu is what it's going to be like after that Murtazaliev. It wasn't a one-hitter quitter. It wasn't a tippy-tappy points win for Murtazaliev. It was a beatdown for 3 rounds. He got knocked down
4 times, didn't he?
Yeah. And he was too brave for his own good. We've all said it. He should have been stopped a lot earlier. Kept getting up, just like the old man, tough as they come, but he got battered. So if Joey Spencer kind of, does throw combinations or looks for the big right hand, what will he be like? Will he kind of back away? Will we see a defensive version of Tszyu? Will he be gun shy himself in case he gets caught in a way in on the counter punch? It'd be very, very interesting. But as I said there on the opening gambit, mate, if he is the guy we believe he is, then he should be kind of beating this level of opponent, But yeah, it will be interesting. He's only human, so hopefully we do see a good version of Tszyu. And we can start talking about him winning world titles again, mates. But I'll definitely be backing him. I do like the Zeus, the old man, Tim, and Nikita as well. So good luck, Tszyu, on Sunday morning for us. Did I give us? No, I didn't give a prediction, did I?
No.
So I'm the same as you. I'm going to go for a bit later. I'm going to go round seven. Tszyu. That's on Amazon Prime, by the way, for us here in the UK and in the States. And Torrez Jnr. is on Sky Sports Action for us here in the UK. Right. Friday night, York Hall, DAZN, GBM card, Izzy Azif pulling in the names. Really good promotional card. Some of his fights are better than what Ben's putting on as a boxer. He's at the home of boxing. Fair fucks to him. We're not talking about the main event. We're talking about the co-main event, Emma Dolan versus Lauren Parker. We're going to wax lyrical now about Emma Dolan because, as I said last week, she was the first guest, one of the guests I asked when me and Dave were trying to build the profile of this podcast to come on and speak to us about her career and boxing, etc. Had a few knockbacks, had a few people say no thanks. Straight away, Emma said, right, yes, so I'll come on the podcast. She was our first guest, so the original OG. And that was off the back of that win against Shannon Ryan on a Matchroom card on DAZN. As the underdog, Shannon Ryan's got that profile behind her. She's got Eddie behind her. She's got money behind her. The glitz and the glamour, if you like. And Emma Dolan went there and ripped up the script. She was the worthy winner. She hurt Shannon Ryan. She put her down. Shannon Ryan was saved by the bell. She looked vacant. And she was the worthy winner. She went on to become the British and Commonwealth champion that night, that super flyweight. She's 7-0, is Emma. She's a tall, rangy fighter, great behind the jab. She dominates with that left-hand jab and then the straight right behind. She's got Carl Greaves behind her, a manager trainer. We follow her on Instagram. We follow her on Twitter. She's never out the gym. She lives the life. She was supposed to fight in December, I think it was, and because yes, you got a ticket, didn't you? And she had to pull out. She was gutted, but she was, I think, she was flued up. So she's been out the ring nearly a year, if not longer. So it's been a while for her, but she does live the life. It's not as if she just got off the sofa, and I can kind of vouch for that by watching what she does. And she's kept in touch with me and Dave as well. A bit like Jasmina Sabatoshna, we've got a lot of love for her, not just because she's a nice person, but she can fucking box as well. And not she just box, she can fight and she can punch. Yes, she's only got one knockout on the resume, but it's the same for all the girls. Emma's got to come out those traps, like Lauren Parker as well, super quick to impress the judges, to make a difference, to look for knockouts, to set traps. It's so hard for the girls. But Emma's got a lot. And yes, there is bias there because we are super fans of Emma and we do like her a lot. But I think she's got more than enough on Friday night to beat Lauren Parker. This ain't an easy fight, by the way. This is a hard fight. Lauren Parker's the former European champion that had to vacate her belt. So she's looking to get back into the mix, become a European champion again. But Lauren Parker needs to do what she needs to do first and beat Emma Dolan and get the British and Commonwealth. But I'm sorry, it ain't going to happen. Emma Dolan has got great feet. She's got a great jab, as I kept on about. And she can punch. The difference with Jasmina and Emma Dolan, Jasmina is more of a boxer. Will kind of, I don't want to be disrespectful And it's not disrespectful because they're two different styles. When Jasmina kind of steps inside, she's happy to land the combination and step out again. When Emma Dolan gets on the inside, she's looking to hurt you and knock you out.
Yeah,
that to me is the difference in the two kind of styles, though, of our favourite girls, if you like. But on a boxing sense, I'm super excited for this on Friday night, Dave. I think Emma's got more than enough to beat Parker, and I think she's got more than enough to stop Lauren Parker. It's a tough night's work, but Carl Greaves waxed lyrical about it. He supports her, he backs her. They've done a lot of work in the gym, and she's been out for over a year or whatever it is, or nearly a year. She's not going to waste this opportunity, and I've got Emma Dolan to win on Friday night quite easily for me, mate. Thoughts?
Yeah, like I say, we had her on our show and she was lovely. She really was, and we've stayed in contact. I had tickets for a fight that she unfortunately couldn't see through, so she had to refund me, which was a shame. And I haven't been able to make this one because it's my daughter's birthday on the same day. But yeah, I'm with you, mate. There's a lot to like about her. She's got a lot of spite there as well. She does sit down in the shot. She looks to hurt her opponent, but she's a really good boxer, and I'm looking forward to this fight because, again, Lauren Parker is a good opponent, and if we got to speak to her on here again, she would Emma would say the same. She has to be switched on with this fight. She has to stick to the game plan and implement what they've been working on. Like I say, Emma Dolan, like I say, and with all the women, it's like activity is key, and there's a lot of things that go on in the background with women, and it's a shame, really, because obviously with some of the guests that we've had on. They don't get the backing when it comes promotional wise. They don't get, the sponsorships is a big thing. They're out there having to sell their own tickets. Like I say, I was talking to Emma. She was selling her own tickets at the time. I've seen it now that she's got a website that they go on. But when the fight previous to this, she was doing the ticket selling herself, which is why I was chatting to her on it. So there's a lot that goes into it. And again, she was on this show and she was lovely. I'm with you, and I'm biased as well because I want nothing but the best for her. But I think she's going to win this fight regardless on merit because I think that she is the better fighter for me, and I think that she's going to go out there and defend her belts, and I think for me she's going to win on points in a real good fight. But I think the York Hall's a great venue. You said GBM there, they're up and coming in their promotional sort of careers. And
it's a good card, good promotion.
Yeah, good card, and it's in a good audience as well. I think everyone knows Emma Dolan anyway. She's a name in the women's division, but I think this she went coming through a good fight like this. I think she goes to that next level as well. And you're the same, Dave. We wish nothing but the best for her. But bias aside, I think she wins this fight on merit and hard work. And that you said there, we see all the videos. She lives her life. She was unfortunate in her last fight that she got an illness, and I think it's onwards and upwards for Emma Dolan. So for me, she wins in a good fight, good close fight, but she wins for me unanimously on points.
Yeah, same. I'd love to see her get a stoppage. Hopefully, she can get a knockdown as well, but a stoppage would be a cherry on top. Yeah. I say Lauren Parker. Lauren Parker's coming off a knockout win herself last time out, but no disrespect, the girl that she fought was like 0-32, but it's still a confidence builder for Lauren going into this. I think she's a bit quicker than Shannon Ryan. I don't think, for what I've seen, she doesn't stand in the pocket as much as Shannon Ryan did. So again, Carl Greaves and Emma Dolan and the team have obviously gone and looked at VT, worked on it, and hopefully the game plan they implement will be perfect on Friday night. And also, because it's a GBM card on the zone, Emma puts in a performance of a lifetime, becomes, and she will be, and still, hopefully, Izzy Aziz from the boys can sign her up to a full-time contract. They can give her a contract where she's got a decent promotional company like GBM backing her all the way with her manager in Carl Greaves, and gets her the fights that she deserves going forward. I think she's like number 11 in the world, Dave. She's obviously a British champion. There's girls, there's South American and a couple of Japs up there. You do a bit of digging, having a look at how they fight. She's more than capable of beating some of those girls up there. I'm not going to be too biased and say, right, she goes in and beats the champion easy. I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. But she's more than capable of getting herself a mandatory shot or a voluntary, if you like, by her performances. And it starts on Friday night going forward. But yeah, I'm the same as you, mate. An unanimous points win for Emma Dolan. And I'll be screaming from the sofa as I did for Jasmina Sapatochna.
Absolutely.
So I'll be recording it as well. And I said to her, I messaged her in the week saying that we will be doing a preview about your fight. And she said, thank you, etc. Because I don't know if a lot of people will be. Obviously, the fight, the main event now was supposed to be Shakan Pitter's against Daniel Dos Santos. Now, we previewed this one a few months ago, didn't we? And obviously, Dos Santos had to pull out through injury or illness. Shakan Pitters went in there with a late place replacement. Now it's Shakan Pitters who's fallen ill, and Bradley Ray has kind of taken the late phone call and stepped up to face the European champion. So, as we always say on here, guys, make sure you stay in the gym. Make sure you stay ready and make sure that phone's switched on. Bradley Ray's got a call now to become European champion. So fair play to him. With some decent names on it. Ed Hardy, watch out for him. He looks like a very exciting featherweight for the UK. And Hughie Fury's back, mate. Rebuilding his career. Yes, I know your thoughts on him, but he has kind of changed his style a little bit like Lawrence Okoli. So he's fighting against Dan Garber. Now, we've seen Dan Garber. Me and David spoke about Dan Garber. We've seen Moses Atuma spark him in a round. And we saw Vidal Riley take care of him in 2 rounds. So it should be pretty straightforward work for Hughie Fury. But when I talk about the card GBM, irrelevant of what you think of Hughie Fury, he's still a name. And GBM aside in names, I think he's fully signed up to Izzy Aziz from the boys now. So Emma Dolan, just go and do your thing. And hopefully, fingers crossed, you will come away and you will get a full-time promotional contract. That's what I'm hoping anyway, mate, for the weekend.
Absolutely.
That's on the Zone on Friday night. We'll be locking into that, which is tomorrow. Just before we go, we're going to jump in with the winner's weekly wager results. So there was £32 in the pot going into last week. Dave picked Emiliano Vargas as his banker of the week for a 3rd round stoppage. Vargas done it in 2, so that gives us 3 points. Those 3 points turn into pounds. Dave always doubles it, which makes it £6 going into the charity pot. The boxing charity pot going into this weekend's action, mate, stands at a whopping £38. Now, you won the prediction league last weekend, mate. So as the rules go, you pick this weekend's banker of the week. Where are you going, brother?
I am going for Mr. Kazakhstan, Janibek. I can't see it. Yeah, Alimkhanuly.
Against who? Go on, say the name.
I was reading it the last time.
I'll put his name back up. There you go.
Gaminescu.
Sounds Romanian.
I've said that wrong 3 times. I've said it differently 3 times. Emmanuel.
That do. So you're going for our boy Janibek, eh?
For me, Joyce Hrgovic can go either way. Adeleye, I think, will beat TKV, but you never know. Janibek, for me, seems the banker. Torrez Jnr, Vianello, we've both gone differently there.
Yeah, most intriguing, that is.
Yeah. So I could have gone to Tszyu versus Joey Spencer. So I think I picked the right one. And obviously, Emma Dolan, that would mean, I think she will win. I do think she will win, but I think that's a tough fight. So, yeah, for me, it's got to be Janibek, mate, for the weekly wager.
Yeah, a lot of options there, mate. But I can understand the way you've gone. So good luck to Janibek for adding a few more quid to our ever-bulging charity pot. So that's the end of our preview episode on this Thursday evening. Anything else to add, brother? Weekend plans? What are you up to?
It's Lola's birthday on Saturday. She's going out with some people we met from holiday and Stacey, and they're all meeting in Camden. But I'm meeting our good friend who doesn't listen to the show, Lee Harper.
Friend of the show never listens. I love that.
Yeah, but the thing is that at least it should throw up some stories for Monday's episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm meeting him to watch the football at 12 o'clock. It's his guy he knows birthday, and I sort of know him from the pub. So I've been invited out for their little bit of a piss up. So I'm out with them. So it's an all dayer.
Yeah, that's not a little bit of a piss up, is it? That's an all dayer.
Yeah. When
the pubs are closed, still on it. By the way, I don't think. Well, the way when you get together with Lee Harper, the night never ends. We've got a recording on Sunday afternoon.
I know. So I could be hungover for it.
Yeah, as long as you turn up, because she's turned up as well.
I'll turn up, but I might be a bag of shit.
Yeah, as long as you turn up, and sometimes people perform better when they're on the juice, don't they? So
yeah,
who knows? So yeah, as I was saying there, guys, we'll be back Monday. We'll also be back on Sunday, and we've got another guest on Monday, and then our next preview show on Thursday. So we've got a hectic week coming up, but we love doing it because we love boxing. So as I normally say, this is the end of podcast episode 113. Usual T's and C's: like, share, and subscribe, whatever platform you're on. I'm off to work now. Dave's going for his usual shit shower and a shave. He's off to bed, and we will be back on Sunday with a special guest. So until then, guys, have a great weekend, stay safe, and enjoy the bloody boxing. Dave, peace out, brother, and I'll see you Sunday.
Take care, mate. Have a good one.